Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about heat presses, so if you want to see which one I recommend, keep watching. Okay, so a very common question that people ask and want to know is, what heat press do I need? Is there a special heat press for sublimation? Is there a special heat press for vinyl? There's a lot of questions regarding, what heat press is the best. So I've had a few different heat presses. I've had a cheaper one from Amazon. I've had a couple from Heat Press Nation. And then I finally ended up getting the Hotronix 16x20 auto open. And I'm not an affiliate with them or anything like that. I'm not paid to make this video. This is just my experience with their heat press and how I feel about it. So pretty much Hotronix is one of the #1 brands with heat presses. They definitely go above and beyond for their customers. They have really good warranties and their heat presses are just great quality. The metal is really great. I know that if you have any issues, they'll help you out right away. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about my heat press a little bit, and then I can kind of talk about different questions and stuff that people have regarding heat presses. The main reason that I even got a new heat press was the one that I was using before this one. The bolts and stuff were kind of flying off of it as I would use it. When you're pressing different things like screen prints and sublimation and stuff like that, the pressure is a little bit harder, especially with screen prints, and especially if you're screen printing like putting a screen print on like a sweatshirt or something, you're really having to push down hard and pull up. And at the time, I was like 9 months pregnant during that transition of wanting to get a new heat press, and it was just really difficult. I was having to have my husband help me with them because I was just really struggling. Well, while I was pulling up on the heat press, I literally would have bolts from underneath the heat press just flying everywhere. It just really wasn't the best one. And then I had gotten a new printer, which it can print up to a 13x19, and I typically use 11x17 using the Epson 15000. Well, when I was printing bigger, the images were just going off the shirt using a 15x15 heat press. So I decided that I wanted to upgrade. I knew that I wanted to spend a decent amount of money only because I do a lot of pressing, and I just really wanted to upgrade and not have to feel like I needed to buy something new again here in the future. And I've heard amazing things about the heat presses. So it's over there. That's what it looks like. Like I said, it's a 16x20, it's an auto open, and it's a clamshell. If I were to get a new heat press in the future, I would get the one that has the pull-out bottom and it has like the touch screen. That's a really nice heat press. That one is very expensive. I believe it's like $2,500. It could be just a little bit less or even more. I don't know, but it was just a little bit out of my price range at the time, and it just really wasn't necessary. But that's the only downfall to this heat press, is just the bottom doesn't pull out, and especially with it being so long and deep, you have to pretty much lay underneath there to lay something out onto the heat press. So yeah, that's something I would definitely change about that heat press, but other than that, it's really good. The only thing, and I have never gotten like a heat gun to test it. That's another thing too. A lot of people will have like cold spots in their heat presses and images aren't pressing as well. So if you are having those issues, it is important to get a heat gun. They're not that expensive, and you can test all the areas around your heat press, like on the element, to make sure that it is heating up the same temperature all the way around it. A couple of the main reasons I got that one is size, obviously. Pressure, with this one, you can see what pressure you are pressing at, and that's important, especially with sublimation and then buying screen prints and stuff like that, because you do have to have the correct pressure. So that was a big selling point for me, was just wanting to know what the right pressure was, because I was messing up a lot of the screen prints that I was buying, and it was just because I didn't have the right time and temperature set for it. But sometimes it is really hard to tell. So it's just really nice to be able to know that. Another good thing is, this is not a setting that I've ever had to use, but it is an option if I ever needed it, is it has 2 time settings. So if you wanted to put a piece of like glitter vinyl down, like let's say you wanted to sublimate on a piece of glitter vinyl, you could do the one timer for the vinyl setting, and then you set another timer and then put the sublimation application on top of that. So you could have those 2 different timers set if you needed to. Like I said, I don't need it for that, but that is an option. And then I will touch on sublimation here a little bit, just because I think I've seen a lot of people actually ask, and it is a common question, is if you need a different heat press for sublimation. No. So any heat press is honestly going to work. But you need to make sure that you are aware that, one, do not use the little Cricut heat press square thing. I don't even know what they're called, but do not use that because, like I was saying, you have to have the correct pressure when you are pressing shirts. Yeah, you might get it to work every once in a while or something, but ultimately you want to make sure that you are using a regular heat press. Even if it's just one off Amazon, even if it's, you know, on the lower end price, it's just better to use that than the little heat press Cricut thing. That thing is good for vinyl, but even with vinyl, I like to just use a heat press because pressure is important there too. So I just like to be able to put it in there, know what pressure I'm using, and yeah. So just like with anything, you're going to get what you pay for. I had a really good experience with the one that I had off of Amazon. It worked for years. It did start to kind of act a little funny because I was using it for so long and I used it so much. So that's why I decided to upgrade at the time to the one that was the one before this one. I believe it's the Fancier Studio brand, and a lot of people use that and have really good results. I just sometimes like to upgrade when I can and invest back into my business. So that's the only reason I've ever upgraded to a new press. Or if it's acting funny or something, that's the reason I would upgrade. So if you're looking to buy a press like this, you can, I got mine at a local screen printing place that I have around here. They just so happen to have one there, but you can get on the Stahls website. I feel like Heat Press Nation, they have some on there. There's a lot of different websites that you can find them on. I think at the time, the one with like the pull-out bottom, that's a little bit nicer than this one. It was out of stock and I really couldn't find it anywhere, and then I was just fine with getting something a little bit cheaper. And another thing I forgot to mention about this heat press is that it is an auto open, meaning that when you push it down, it's going to pop back open when the timer goes off, which is a really nice setting. So I'll flip the camera back around when it's getting closer. I have it set to 60 seconds, so when that's about to pop open, I will set the camera back over there so you can see it. But it is a really nice option to have. The only thing is just being very careful with ghosting sometimes if you're not standing right there, or sometimes if for whatever reason the design ends up shifting, you're going to have that ghosting on your shirt, and then the shirt's going to be ruined. You can't fix it after that happens. So that's the only downfall. Sometimes it is a little bit dangerous to use it that way because you just don't want to ruin your shirt. But I always make sure that I'm standing right there, even if when it does pop open itself, and just pull the design off and make sure there's no shifting going on. You can use heat tape. I don't do that, but you definitely can. It definitely helps. Okay, it's about to pop back open. So while we wait for that, another thing is it's important when doing sublimation that you are using butcher paper. Okay, so that's all it does. It pops back open by itself. But it's important to make sure that you're using butcher paper when you are doing sublimation. You can use Teflon sheets and stuff when you are doing vinyl. But using butcher paper and using a new piece every single time, it just protects the element from getting ink all over it. It protects your shirt, obviously. It's just good to make sure that you're changing that out every single time. There are some people who don't even use any butcher paper, which if you're not experiencing any ink getting onto your other shirts as you keep pressing, that's fine, but I sometimes do, so that's why I just use a different piece of butcher paper every single time. So that's really all that I have about the heat press that I'm currently using. I love it. I totally recommend it. I know that it's more expensive, but just remember, you get what you pay for with a heat press, and you're definitely investing back into your business. So if you have any questions about heat presses or others that I might recommend, or any more questions about this heat press, just leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching.